Well, thanks everybody for coming out.
Gracias
I
por
am
estar
still in
aquí.
awe a little bit. I don't think there's a single chair open. This is an
Todos los
impressive,
asientos
impressive program. So
están
thank you very
siendo
much for coming
usados
out.
aquí. Entonces, muchas gracias por ser parte
This
de este
is awesome.
programa y esta cumbre
For people
de
that have been listening
esclerosis
to me for
múltiple.
the last few of these presentations, you'll see that there's a little bit of a repetition of some of the
Por
slides and
los que
some of the
han
topics.
participado en estas
I think a
sesiones
little bit
antes,
of
hay un
that
poquito de
is just to show the rate at
repetición
which we gain
en
knowledge.
lo que estamos
And
hablando.
so you will see a little bit of that again today. So there's a twist at the end where we have a little bit of newer stuff, but I will be
Tenemos un poquito de
repeating a few
información,
things for
información
those
más
people that
nueva al
maybe haven't been
final.
listening to all of them
Pero para los
as
que
to
no
what
saben
actually
o
is
no
the
han
latest,
escuchado
I
esta
think, in the
presentación
field
antes, es
for
algo
the
muy
drugs
importante que queremos
especially,
compartir con ustedes hoy.
and things like this. So looking at some of the questions, I think it'll address a lot of the questions that got submitted ahead of time. So if you bear with me, we'll get to some of those things. And then we still have the Q&A. So feel free to ask questions if
Vamos
something
a
doesn't
tener
make sense.
una sesión
Happy to
de
try and kind
preguntas y
of clarify
respuestas al
some stuff.
final.
I can go through it kind of fast. And because I did present some of the stuff before, some of
Y
this
como
stuff will
yo
kind
he
of hit
presentado antes
highlights
esto
about it. So don't
en el
worry too
pasado,
much about the slides if
no
they
voy a
have a lot of numbers
explicar
and things
todo en
like
mucho
this.
detalle,
Just kind of listen
pero
to me and I'll
por
walk you through
favor,
them to kind of
es
bring out what
importante
I
escuchar
really am trying to kind of show.
de lo que
But I want
estamos
most
tratando
people, if I get
de
distracted easily,
mostrar.
so if the slides aren't there, my mind starts to wander, and this gives me something to kind of at least pay attention to. So if you want to, choose your own adventure a little bit as we go through. All right. I'm a conflicted individual. We work with a lot of the different companies, and so that reflects a little bit of this.
Trabajo con diferentes
One of the biggest
compañías,
chunks I will talk about in the past was kind of set the
pero
stage as to
ahora vamos a
the new
comenzar
diagnostic criteria. Well, they landed on our lap last month. If you've
comenzar
heard some of the
a hablar acerca
discussion
de las
about sort of the new
actualizaciones en la
diagnostic criteria,
investigación sobre
spoiler alert, there wasn't
la
a lot of
esclerosis
change
múltiple.
from what I presented. So a lot of what I'm going to say for the next, 5 or so minutes will kind of be repetitive for people that were listening or were present at the last one. One of the things I will kind of emphasize is a little bit about some of the new imaging markers and kind of hit on those just because it affects a little bit of some of the drug trials. And I noticed that there was a lot of questions around smoldering disease and how we're measuring it. And some of that is kind of looked at and maybe built into these criteria. What I kind of say is a lot of times with our criteria is that the advance varies slowly. Each set of new criteria would come
Hay
out
nuevas
as
revisiones de los
a new
criterios
thing
de
or
esclerosis
a small
múltiple
change. And then this is the list of
y el
stuff
objetivo de
that
esto
got
es
added
seguir
in the
intentando
last one. So I felt
diagnosticar
like that
la
I would deliberate
esclerosis
and kind of
múltiple
say,
más temprano y añadir
what's your
pruebas
favorite
más
thing? What's your
específicas.
favorite thing? And we got all of it. To some extent, I think it's a good thing. I think this is a lot of the things that we think through when we're diagnosing patients. It's adding more specificity to things. So, we can be more careful in special populations. So in younger and older patients, it adds a little bit of being able to push the boundary as to being able to diagnose MS earlier and things like this. So I think some of this stuff are actually really good changes.
Estos
When
cambios en
we
las
look
revisiones
at
de los
it,
criterios de
this
esclerosis
is,
múltiple es
kind of
muy
typical
importante.
lesions of what we would normally
Aquí
look at
podemos
on
ver las
MRIs.
lesiones
The
típicas
lesions that
que se
we
pueden ver en el cerebro.
traditionally talk about are the periventricular lesions. You will
Podemos
see
ver
that this lesion is
unas lesiones
ovoid, kind
aquí.
of perpendicular to this black thing. This is where the space where you make spinal fluid. This is the ventricle.
Ese es el lugar
And
donde
there's little veins
hacemos
that
el
pop through this. And so it added
fluido
a central vein.
del
If you do a
cerebro.
different sequence, now you can kind of bring in those little vessels. And so this is like one of the new things that we tend to see in MS. It can be seen in other
Eso es lo que
things. So a lot of
vemos
these things
muchas
are
veces en el
very
MS.
specific, but it's more specific than just when you see this. And so one of the challenges that we're having is we still can't do this very well. We can do it on a research MRI scanner. This past week, we actually started testing some new sequences
Aunque
for
podemos ver
MS
esas lesiones
protocols or
aquí,
MS
sí
protocols
tenemos
that are showing
desafíos en
actually got them
poder,
changing.
retos y
Hopefully soon. I bet it'll be
oportunidades de
very
hacerlo
soon,
mejor.
just at the rate that things move. But the idea is to try and start adding these type of lesions, for example, and being able to add that and see those better. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through. There's lesions that you can kind of see at the
Hay
surface of the
lesiones
brain.
que se pueden
Normally,
ver
they like to kind of form U shapes or kind of at the bottom of these dips, sulci
en la superficie del cerebro.
in the brain. You can see that this one's a little bit widened
Se
around the
puede ver
center,
ahí
causing some
que,
atrophy
que
there.
esa área está un
Different
poco
tutorial, so brainstem
inflamada,
here in the
grande.
spinal cord. And then the new
También hay
thing we
áreas
finally
en
got is
la,
due
am,
respect. We were
el área
expecting
de
this, and the
la,
last one was adding the optic nerve as part of one of our areas that can be affected
de
in
la
MS.
columna
And it's only
vertebral
20
hay
to 25%
lesiones.
of MS patients that start off with an optic neuritis. So I'm not sure what the delay was in recognizing it as one of the parts for MS. Nonetheless, it got its due. It's finally part of it. And so here you can see sort of a cut that we don't tend to look at very often.
Aquí
But if you
podemos ver
tilt forward a
como
little
un,
bit, the eyeballs would be
se
kind of
mira
coming
como que
in here and
si
here, and this is the nerve going back in.
podemos
You
ver
can
el
see this one's a
nervio
little bit
ahí en
wider than
medio.
this one, and so this one
Podemos ver
has
que un lado está un
a
poco más
scar
grande que el
sort of
otro.
versus some of the damage seen with
Hay
the
una
MS.
cicatriz
We
que
talked about one
es
special
dañado por la
sequence to look at
esclerosis
central vein.
múltiple.
The other one that got added was pearls. This one's not used as much, but we'll talk about it for some of the
Otra
clinical
característica
trials
que
and stuff.
fue añadida fue estas
So
perlas,
these
se
are
dicen
paramagnetic
perlas,
rim lesions. And so
que
you can
también son
see there's a
lesiones.
lesion coming here, and it's got a rim coming around it. The sequence that does
Hay
this
un
and
borde
this are
en la perla que se puede ver.
thought to be kind of similar. I mean, they basically pick up metals, and it's picking up iron. So in blood, for example, here it's actually blood in a blood vessel for the central vein. Here, it's a type of cell that helps clear up damage, and it's picking up basically broken down cells. So these are
Ahí se puede ver que
macrophages, sometimes
estas
are termed as
perlas
foamy
son
macrophages because they look like
como
they have foam in it.
vasos sanguíneos
Stuff
que
that's in the bone,
causan
sometimes the red blood cells,
como
which
una
have
acumulación
iron in them. And
de,
so that same sequence that picks up iron picks these up. However, these are very
de
different.
componentes
It
que
turns
están en el
out that
cerebro.
looking at these kind of sequences that we had, and we're going like to the radiologist, it's like, hey, we're not seeing any of these pearls. What are we doing wrong? It's like, oh yeah, those don't work. You have to look at something more specific. So anyway, this is part of the stuff as to why we're changing the sequences around.
Y por
over the
eso, como
next
vemos todas esas
future
fotos,
so that
estamos
makes sense.
tratando de añadir estas características para que sea
When we
más
start to
amplio.
look at these lesions, having one lesion
Cuando vemos
detected
estas
is
lesiones,
good enough. We want to kind of have a way to identify sort of what does that look
queremos tratar de
like. And so
identificar
to
cómo
kind of
se
say,
ven
hey, you
mejor.
have a positive central vein sign. What that means, they use a rule called select six. So this kind of comes about by saying what they noticed is that if you look at all the lesions in an MS patient, usually about 70% will have a central vein that you can kind of pick up.
Esta regla que se llama el Select Six es algo que usamos como doctores para definir si un paciente tiene 6 o más lesiones en el cerebro que está visible a la vena central, o si la mayoría de lesiones en la vena central tiene menos de 10 totales lesiones presentes.
That's awesome. It's a positive test. If you have less than 10 lesions, then you want half of them to have a central vein. So that's kind of the general rule. So in this beautiful next slide, which we're going to spend a little bit of time, this is kind of what the criteria look like. It's a big table. I wouldn't concentrate on trying to learn this stuff, but it kind of gives me sort of my cues.
En este siguiente diapositiva puede ver un poquito más de información de lo que hablamos.
So we go from 4 areas to 5 areas.
Ahora adicionamos el signo de la vena central y lesiones con borde paramagnético como herramientas opcionales para el diagnóstico en ciertas situaciones. Tenemos pruebas de laboratorio para confirmar el diagnóstico en niños y también en adolescentes.
So now we can say, hey, if you have one area, we can diagnose MS, but you need to meet a lot of stuff to do that. If you have 2 areas or more, then you're pretty much kind of golden. if you only have two or three, you need to add some other things, which includes dissemination in time, meaning you get new lesions, you could have a relapse or other symptoms associated with it, spinal fluid or CSF, and then that central vein sign that we talked a little bit about before. The other column that got added, so this is all brand new, then is for radiologically isolated symptoms. So these are patients that get an MRI for a headache or because they were a research subject or their toenails hurt or whatever other reason that people might get a brain MRI sometimes. And then we were able to sometimes say, hey, you have MS, but you've not had symptoms. Now we can say, based on the MRI, it's, hey, this is MS. We don't have to wait for symptoms. I mean,
Entonces, este gráfico muestra
it must be
cuáles son las topografías que son
different
usadas
things.
para
So we have,
diagnosticar el MS.
and so we can again kind of look at the same things as far as making that diagnosis. So now we can, big changes on here is optic neuritis is part of it. For people that don't have symptoms, we can make a diagnosis of MS.
Podemos
And
hacer
it
un
kind of
diagnóstico
requires
con
us to
personas que no
have some
están
testing that looks like MS to
mostrando
make a diagnosis of MS. So in the past, a lot of times people would have some symptoms.
características que
Say, this
usualmente
must be MS,
usábamos en el
or
pasado.
I could be diagnosed with MS. We
Ahora
didn't
podemos
go as far as
diagnosticarlo
pushing that
sin
because one of the things that changed a little bit as well was they
características
incorporated
específicas.
broader worldwide view. And you can imagine that if you're a neurologist practicing in Africa or, smaller countries that maybe don't have access to MRIs, you don't want to wait for an MRI to make it a requirement to make that diagnosis. But if you have an MRI and it's normal, then it doesn't count for MS. The other thing is non-specific symptoms. So what are the specific symptoms? That's always a little bit hard to define, but you're looking for symptoms that we normally would say loss of vision, double vision.
Aquí tenemos también síntomas inespecíficos. Digamos, unas presentaciones pueden incluir síntomas que
considered typical, right? So things like fatigue and things like this are common in MS. They're common in a lot of things, and that's where we're trying to kind of separate these things out.
síntomas que
Trigeminal
tienen,
neuralgia, paroxysmal
pueden
nocturne
cubrir
is part of kind of things that
múltiple
are
esclerosis,
typical,
esclerosis múltiple y
typical
que no tienen
specific areas
características de
those
un
criteria go.
ataque.
We talked about the central vein.
Hablamos acerca del, de la vena
central
central.
around getting rid of one way to measure positive spinal fluid that didn't work very well and looking at something else. We're still probably relying on oligoclonal bands for the most part. So here things don't change too much as far as kind of how we would diagnose things, but they just kind of broaden.
Aquí no vemos muchos cambios.
Free light chains is a little bit of a cheaper, faster way. So in other parts of the world, this was one of those things that got added in to kind of make it a little bit more
HEPA-free light chains es algo un poquito más fácil para diagnosticar.
As far as MRI, we talked about pearls and then the central vein sign as well as far as this goes. We talked a little bit about being able to diagnose MS if only one area is affected. The main area.
Ahorita podemos hacer un diagnóstico si solo un área es afectada.
To be able to say, if you have a couple different lesions in the spinal cord, not just one, and you have all of these other conditions, then you could kind of go on to make a diagnosis of MS. So really just trying to kind of, again, push that diagnosis earlier and earlier.
Entonces, para nosotros es importante diagnosticar un poquito más temprano, más antes. Las poblaciones especiales son los adolescentes. Hay una condición que se llama MOG.
And because it's a population that can sometimes be MOG and not MS, adding that testing became important. So
añadimos este examen de MOG.
if you're looking a little bit like MS, about half the times you have MOG and not MS. So that became
para ver si es MOG y no la esclerosis múltiple. Entonces, si tienes de 12 o 18 años y tienen síntomas atipicales o diferentes, tenemos diferentes exámenes para poder diagnosticar la esclerosis múltiple.
Risk factors for just getting little white spots. you want to add a little bit more umph to the diagnosis. And so that's where you can add it a little bit by adding either if you have spinal cord lesions, spinal fluid, central vein sign. And so where does that apply? If you're older, they suggest 50, have vascular risk factor. So somebody who has maybe a history of heart attacks or something else like this, high blood pressure that's not been well controlled, and things like this, or headaches, because that's one of the big causes for little white spots that we can see as well. And so again, it's just adding a little bit more umph, especially in patients that were maybe concerned that it may not be MS and could be other things. That's what we're trying to kind of do. So there's a lot of kind of like caveats that are being added, but I think it does a nice balance of trying to make a diagnosis of MS and rule out other things. All right, so let's talk about some newer stuff. Except for I got to
Ok,
review a little
vamos a
bit.
hablar acerca
So
de
there
cosas que
was a lot
son
of
nuevas.
questions and concerns about tolebrutinib, and we
Habían
thought we were going to
muchas
have it. It didn't quite make it
preocupaciones
out.
acerca del
So it's supposed
tolebrutinib
to come out on September
y esta
18th, November
información iba a
28th. It
salir
got
el
pushed out
18
to
de
December
septiembre,
28th.
pero
Not a big deal. I don't
ahora va
know
a
what the
salir el
issues
28 de
were. I got
diciembre.
told that
No
they
sé
needed
por
more
qué
data.
esta
Why I'm not
investigación,
too worried about it is
am,
because pretty much every MS drug, I think, since I have been practicing, has had a
esta
three-month delay.
investigación tomó mucho tiempo
So this is common. I was
y se
expecting it might
retrasó.
be the case, and it turned out to be the case. And so I think the FDA just moves a little bit slow, and that's just to be expected a little bit. So with that being the case,
Entonces,
maybe
este
maybe not by
Tolutrunet
Christmas, maybe a
medicamento
little bit
es
right around
un
that time, we might get tolebrutinib. We did get a little bit of new data,
medicamento
so
que
before we
podrá
get to the
ser
new data, let me kind of just go through a little bit of
aceptado
the
por el
BTK inhibitors
FDA.
and maybe why we're excited about them. Just a quick reminder that BTK inhibitors maybe work on two different levels. So one of them is to help reduce signaling through B and T cells through this B cell receptor. And so it inhibits this pathway by which these cells can get activated. So this would be a pathway that we would be very
Este
excited to kind of
medicamento
work for
ayuda
relapses,
a
for
que la
activation, things like this,
señalización entre las
similar
células
to
B y
like
T
B-cell
sean
depletion
mejores
therapies. In that
y
case,
son
you kill the
involucradas
cell,
en
but these drugs, the hope is that
la
the immune
activación
system
del
can
sistema
fight them
inmune
off.
de las células B
The
y
other
la
pathway that we think would be
y la
affected some is the
microglia que está
pathway
al lado
of
derecho.
microglia and sort of activating or kind of inhibiting that same pathway by which microglia. This is the part that we talk about, sort of the smoldering, inflammation, and maybe sort of the new aspects that come into it a little bit. All right, so for spoiler alert, it didn't work on relapses. This was the relapsing trial. You can see it was pretty flat. There are a number of
Lo que
attacks were
vimos
pretty low.
fue
When we
que
looked at
la
progressive numbers, you
eficacia y
can see that there
seguridad
was a
de
reduction of
Tolutruneब
41%. This looked nice. It was kind of a nice change. You can notice that it's maybe not a game changer, right? It didn't go to zero. It's not a flat line. So people are still sometimes progressing on this drug, but it looks
vimos que
better
sí
than the other
hubo
drugs
una
that are being
31% de
used. So I think
reducción
it's an improvement over
con
especially
personas que
placebo type
tienen
of
una
condition. And so we'll see if this will work.
discapacidad.
If we go back to that relapsing trial, we could see that there's still a pretty much a 30% reduction in the events of progression. One of the things I would
Y
point out is
también reduce
how
la
you sort of classify
progresión
patients and
de
how you select patients.
los
The number
brotes.
of events is much lower, so here you can see that only 13% of patients have a progressive event. If we go back, you can see that it's almost 40% that would have an event. So if you pick progressive patients, they'll have more progressive events is the moral of the story. But that effect happens early and we can kind of pick them up. We presented a little bit last time that if you have pearls, those lesions that I was kind of talking
Presentamos un
about, that
poquito
it looked like in
antes
these trials that
que
there
si
was a
tienen
better
estos
effect, that the more
pearls,
pearls you had a little bit or maybe a lot more effect on sort of the difference. So,
reducción,
not much difference if you had 0 pearls
hay
between
reducción
tolebrutinib and placebo. Placebo patients
de
have more
31%
disability
en el
to stay stable,
CDW
if you
a
had
6 meses con el
pearls if you were
Trolotrinib.
on that tolebrutinib drug. So that seemed like it was helpful. And then this is the new data that got presented just last month at ECTRIMS, where we could
Y
see
esa es
sort
la
of the
información
benefit from
más
this drug.
nueva y podemos
Looking
ver
at a bunch of
quién
different symptoms
beneficia más de esta
or
medicina.
kind of baseline characteristics, and you can see that if you were younger versus older with different cutoffs, older patients actually did a little bit better.
Los
So this is
pacientes
kind of telling us that it
mayores
might have a little bit more of a pure effect on progression as
ayudan
the
mucho a la progresión de la condición
versus the
con los pacientes
CD20s that
de
primarily
mayor edad.
work on younger patients. A little bit of effect, a little bit better on men than women.
Afectó un poquito mejor con
We're going to be in
los
North America. I mean,
con
if you
hombres
lived anywhere else in the
versus las
world, the drug
mujeres.
did not work. But if you were North America, the drug worked. This is a great example of something that sometimes just happens when you slice the data a little bit too much. And if you find a small enough group and you have a few people that probably just happen, I cannot think of why it would be that much better in the US or North America than somewhere else. So you have to take these things with a bit of a grain of salt. And I just want to emphasize that research is research. You just sometimes have to think through it a little bit. And I can't explain why that would be the case. The other groups that kind of look at it though was, again, this is where now it starts to kind of look a little bit different and look
Ahora en
maybe a
estos
little bit
estudios
more like
vimos
what you would
diferentes
expect
poblaciones, diferentes
a
grupos.
relapsing drug to look like. If you had less disability, it worked a little bit better. If you didn't have disease,
Si hay
great
menos
performance.
discapacidad,
It
también
looked a
ayuda
little
un
bit
poco
better.
más a esa
So if we're going to have
población.
questions around patients who were maybe 70 years old and still having progression, would this be a good drug?
O
If we go back to the other slide, baseline age a little bit better if you were a little bit older, not much of a difference. But if we went back and kind of start looking at, if you've had disease for more than 10 years, it didn't quite look as good as if you didn't have disease for that long. And so this is the part that we're just kind of like trying to kind of sort out and kind of say, okay, where do we want to use this drug? If we use the drug when patients are really early, very young, they're not going to have a lot of
estamos también
relapses.
viendo que
They're
con
not going to
personas que
have,
han tenido la
they're
condición por
going to
muchos
have a better
años,
chance of
esa
having
droga
relapse. And
no
if it doesn't
ayuda
work on
tanto como en
relapsing very well,
personas
then we're going to
que
run into issues, right?
no
If
tienen
it doesn't
tanto
work on
tiempo con
relapse.
la condición o no han tenido muchos
The other
brotes.
thing I would mention is that if you had enhancing lesions, it looked much, much better than if you had no active lesions. These were primarily the patients that also had pearls. So this is a little bit of why we're trying to get that pearl sequence up and running, because I think that's going to help us try to sort out maybe who might benefit from the drug and maybe not so much. So more to come. Again, there was a liver issue. One patient did die. It's probably going to require a weekly labs for the first 3 months. So this isn't a drug that I would say, we'll just try it and see how it goes. We want to kind of have a good sense as to who might
Am,
benefit from it. This drug did not do much as far as affecting immunoglobulin levels. We worry about this with CD20s. It did not affect lymphocyte counts much. So, if we think that these are important and this is kind of how it works when it affects B cells, that might be part of the issue why it didn't have an effect on
am,
relapses.
tuvo un poco de efecto, un efecto
So
pequeño a
if we look
niveles
at the
de
phase 2 study and
IgG
why there was so much excitement
y
was, you could see early on, this
linfócitos.
was only a 12-week study, is that the number of active enhancing lesions went down. But you saw that about 20%
Lo
of
que sí vimos
patients,
es
these are the
que
bars that show how
el
many people did not have
porcentaje de
enhancing lesions,
pacientes que
and over
tenían nuevas
time,
lesiones sí
20% of
bajó.
patients still had enhancing lesions. And what happened was that the patients, after different doses of drug and were kind of
O
maintained on things, everybody got switched over here. Patients
las
continued to have
lesiones
enhancing
sí
lesions.
bajaron,
So
pero
on
aún
tolebrutinib, this
hubieron
is a big
20%
part
de
of reason that it is
pacientes
really
que tenían
theorized that it
em,
has an effect
o
on B cells
tuvieron una
because it
experiencia
looked
de
like it really did.
nuevas lesiones.
So it works on
Entonces, lo
rats,
que
but
vemos aquí es que
preclinically, it works in the lab.
sí
But when we go
ayudan muchas
test it in
veces,
humans, we find out
pero a
that
veces
maybe not the same,
cuando
right?
hacemos los
In
exámenes
mice,
con
very different than
humanos, a
humans
veces
by a little
los
bit. And
resultados
so,
cambian.
we have to do those experiments a little bit in humans to figure out what the issues are. All right, I'm going to flip over to fenebrutinib. This is another drug that we will be hearing about very soon. But just to highlight that
Ahora
these
vamos a
number
hablar
of
de
lesions goes down,
otro
and how
medicamento
does
que
that
se llama
difference? It looks like it does
fenebrutinib,
stay down.
que
So we're
mantiene una
seeing that it
actividad
looks a little
baja
bit different than
temprana y
fenebrutinib
sostenida en
as
pacientes
far as
con la
enhancing
esclerosis
lesions at
múltiple
T2 lesions.
recurrente. Y aquí podemos ver
What are the
resultados a
differences as
2
far as
años del
T cells?
estudio
So B cell
abierto
counts actually
FENOPTIA.
drop almost by 50%. Immunoglobulin levels are actually
Lo que
going
vimos
down,
que hasta la
and it
semana
looked a lot like the
96,
effect that we would
el
normally tend to
tratamiento con
see with
Fenebrutinib redujo las nuevas lesiones a casi cero y disminuyó la tasa analizada de lesiones T2 nuevas o en crecimiento. Entonces, ¿dónde estamos con los estudios de inhibidores de BTK? Tenemos dos ensayos con esclerosis múltiple recurrente versus el teriflunomide y más ensayos con estos tres tratamientos medicamentos.
I also say that there was trials coming up on higher doses of ocrelizumab. The rationale for that was because in patients that, when we looked at sort of dosing, we couldn't change dosing because everybody got the same dose. But
ahora vamos a ver
people got more drug.
Las relaciones entre el PK y el PD de Ocrevus y si estamos usando la dosis correcta.
Sorry, in bigger people, we could see that B cells
Desde las personas con más grandes tardan más en lograr la depleción de células B. Vemos, nos encontramos sin efectos en lesiones realizadas ni en lesiones T2. Y con la mayor cantidad de medicamento tuvo menos acumulación de discapacidad.
Vitamin XYZ working on this, right? It can be great in mice and in the lab, but why we do the experiment? Because when we did the experiment, we showed that high doses do not matter. Those two lines look about as superimposed as they did. And so this has kind of been dead in the water as far as looking at the high doses. So this is the progressives trial. Last time I talked a little bit about the relapsing trial. For that one, progression also looked like nothing. So higher doses do not seem to matter at all.
Ahora podemos ver un estudio oratorio HAND. Vimos que los criterios de inclusión para oratorio HAND fueron más amplios que para oratorio, lo que permitió inscribir pacientes de mayor edad con más tiempo de enfermedad y mayor discapacidad. Los pacientes en oratorio HAND eran más mayores, tenían mayor discapacidad tanto en EDSS como en 9-HPT y una duración de enfermedad más larga que los de oratorio.
The age did not change much, but there were patients who were much more disabled when we look at the EDSS here. Didn't realize the cursor wasn't working, so sorry. The EDSS was a little bit higher when we kind of compared these two studies compared to the prior study. I bring this one up a little bit because in the original trial, the difference was a reduction of 21%.
El ensayo original,
30% with the BTK inhibitors with tolebrutinib is so much better than 21%. If we play with the conditions around the trial, we can
lo que vimos es que con el ocrelizumab muestra una reducción del riesgo del 30% en la progresión compuesta confirmada a 12 semanas en EDSS o 9-HPT. Entonces vimos que el ocrelizumab mostró reducciones significativas del riesgo en los componentes iniciales de la progresión compuesta.
Frexalimab was another drug that got presented. This looks good.
Frexalimab fue otro medicamento que fue presentado por 2.5 años.
Good from that perspective. I'm going to skip a little bit about CAR Ts, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this combination therapy. This was a
Ahora quiero hablar de esta terapia, esta combinación de terapia.
The idea was hey, in older patients, the cells that cause remyelination by clemenstein maybe don't work quite as well. So let's make them younger by using something called metformin, which had been shown in the lab in plastic plates to be effective in doing that.
Estamos viendo que el metformin,
let's do something that can cause remyelination and things like this.
Metformin que puede ayudar con la remyelinización.
you could modify
puede
or
ser una
improve
opción para esa condición.
something called a visual evoked potential, a small effect that patients didn't notice that they actually saw better. And unfortunately, this combination of therapy, this is what the study looked
La
like.
combinación de
It
terapia
took a lot of patients to get in. So they
tomó
screened
mucho,
178 patients
mucho
out of 600
esfuerzo
patients
para
because they were looking for
tener
just the right patient
70
that would benefit.
pacientes
And what they found out was an
y lo que
improvement
vieron es
of
que hay
0.2 milliseconds, so even less than
un
1 milliseconds.
mejoramiento,
So I wanted to show this study a little bit to kind of say, hey, there's
mejoramiento
a lot of efforts happening in
de la
remyelination.
condición
We're trying,
y mejoramiento en
but
la
just the combination did
remielinización.
not seem to make much of a difference as far as
Pero con
actual
eso no hizo
outcomes.
mucha
This is a
diferencia.
complicated slide just to say they didn't see something as far as people being able to look at a chart and seeing a difference as far as that goes. And so I think with this, we can turn it over to the Q&A. All right, sounds good.
Más por venir, ahorita vamos a continuar con el panel de preguntas y respuestas.